Greetings everyone, and welcome to this short session on why can some people charge 7 times their competitors. I'm going to use as a bit of a case study my experience in the accounting profession, but it's also replicated in the other groups I coach, including IT professionals, HR, and lawyers. Over the years, I've consulted with a lot of firms of accountants, probably visited about 500 to ask them this question. How much do you charge for a set of accounts for a company turning over £250,000 with a simple personal and corporation tax return? No payroll. You'll be pleased to hear if you're an accountant, because that's all done by the bookkeeper. And the bookkeeping was quite good. So, and the very interesting answers I get, they vary anything between £550 and £4,000. That's in today's terms. So today, I'm just going to give you 5 top tips how you can get nearer to the £5,000 mark. Okay, we'll do more training videos on this. This is a simple introduction to the process of charging higher prices. Well, tip number 1, if I can get my down arrow to work, is be brave. The one determinant about pricing, which is common, is how brave the pricer is. Very often, those who are setting the price worry more about what people will think of them rather than what price they get. So a typical example would be my wife is a tutor and she's desperately worried about charging more than £35 an hour. But the sad fact is, if she was braver, then she might well be charging £40 or £50 or £60 an hour like other firms of tutors. But she's just worried that someone will think that she's ripping them off or something like that. I belong to a business coaching group called Fearless Business Coaching. And the reason it's called Fearless is it just wants people to be brave in the way they price. And it's quite an interesting fact. My son-in-law helps people with the Herbalife product. And they did a survey and discovered that those who pay the full price stick with the diet longer than those who get the 25% discount up front. That's counterintuitive, I know, but it's the case. Also, other surveys have been done. A well-known training organization did a survey looking at prices for inheritance tax work. And they got more responses to £750 for the price for the planning exercise than they did for £250. Why? Because it's all about perception of value. So let the client set the value and be brave about the way you price. Number 2 is that you need a steady stream of leads. If you only get 1 lead a month, you're not going to be at all brave about the price because you'll be desperate to get the work in, unless you're busy already, in which case you might be a bit braver. But the general life is to have a steady stream of leads. And I hear a lot of businessmen say, well, I haven't got time to market because I'm busy. Well, what I would say is that's fine, but your new work is most likely to come from existing client referral or Google, and that doesn't necessarily produce such good quality clients as organic marketing. And so the reason for marketing and having a steady stream of leads, even if you're busy, is it allows you to weed out those clients you have. And trust me, 20% of your clients will be clients that you don't really want. Why? Because everyone has 20% of clients who they don't really want. And you replace those with clients who are really A1 clients that you love to bits and that you enjoy working for. Okay, we teach people how to have a steady stream of leads. For example, we can get leads on LinkedIn up to 3 or 4 a week with 5,000 connections. It takes a bit of time, takes probably 3 to 6 months to get the lead flow flowing. Also, we teach clients about what works, what doesn't work, how to get referrals. But as night follows day, we can train people how to get a steady stream of leads. Okay. Point number 3 is know what difference you make to the client. Now, very often accountants assume that we're all the same, or HR professionals say we're all the same, or lawyers assume we're all the same. Well, that's entirely not true. I remember when I was an accountant age 35, my relationship with my clients was very different from when I was an accountant age 64. When I sold my accounting practice when I age 35, most of the clients said, not thank you, sadly for me, didn't do my ego any good, but who will be dealing with me now? Whereas when I was age 64 and I had a lot more experience in gravitas, and clients used to ask a lot of for my advice, a lot about how they grew their business. the overwhelming response was, Alan, you can't retire. We need you. And the reason is because I was giving advice, and that made a big difference to them compared with when I was 35 and I was just processing their numbers. And once I'd done the early years tax planning, they'd forgotten the benefits of that, and they were just interested in how much it was going to cost. So if you know the difference you make to the clients, you will know how to charge higher prices. How do you know the difference you make to the clients? Well, ask your existing clients, why do you use me? And ask new clients, why are you coming to me? What do you want me to change? Because, and that leads us on to point number 4, let the client decide the value. In all of this, you have to be good at selling. And the key of being a good salesman is not being a salesman, it's being an advisor. And your role in business is to help clients take an informed choice about the best person for them to use. And sometimes, particularly when I was running an accounting practice, people would ring me up and say, I need an accountant, how much do you charge? And I always used to say, just out of interest, do you drive a Skoda? Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with Skoda drivers. They've taken a decision to have a car that's slightly cheaper than my Volvo, okay? And I've taken a decision to have a car that's slightly cheaper than someone else's Ferrari. But that's my choice, because the Volvo gives me certain benefits that the Ferrari doesn't and does, okay? And ditto, the Skoda gives you certain benefits that the Volvo doesn't. And one wants to decide what's right for me. And that's what your client will be thinking is what is right for me. So what I suggest when you do a sales pitch is you have a sort of standard. Well, number 1 is before the client gets anywhere near you or prospective client, you send them a questionnaire ascertaining what's important to them. So, for example, I ask a lot of questions about how their business is running, and I make it very simple. It takes about 2 minutes to fill in. Questions like, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is hanging on by your fingertips, and 10 is on time every time. How is your time management? And that very quickly tells me a lot about the client and also what's important to them. And if I don't get 3s or 4s in those answers, because people rarely answer 1 or 2, I won't take them on as a client, because if a client knows everything they need to know to run their business and everything is running smoothly, I can't add value. And if I can't add value, I don't want to deal with them. And that should be the same with you. You need to ascertain and help the client ascertain whether you can add value to them. And if you can add value, you price based on that value. Because what will be going through the client's head, 1, can they add value? And 2, can anyone add the same value cheaper? Well, very often, particularly if you specialize, that no one can. No one has your unique qualities. So let the clients decide the value. And also I'd say sell well. So after you've discussed with the client what they need, your job is to then advise them about the best person for them to use. And you take them through what's going on in their brain about who they should use. So I used to say things like, generally, you want an accountant in a business which is the same size as yours. You would probably want someone who's transparent on fees and has quick turnaround times. How does that sound? And probably you want someone with your knowledge of your industry as well. And they'd say yes. And I said, well, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you think I can give that to you? And if they go 6 or 7, I'll ask them the question, what do I need to get you to 9 or 10? And if they go 9 or 10, then I shut up. I wait for 8 seconds usually, sometimes more, sometimes 10. I'm told the record for shutting up is 22 minutes. It was on a job where they were pitching for a £10 million sales contract. The promise was to take the business from 90 million to 100 million, and they were going to get 10% of the increase in value. And the salesman shut up. Sorry, first of all, he mentioned the price after he'd had the initial pause. And the client said, said, how much will that cost? And he said, 10 million. And then he was quiet. 22 minutes later, the client came back with an objection. I don't know the end of the story other than that the deal was signed, and he taught all the other salesmen how to shut up. And he said, "You did that to me, didn't you?" And he said, "Yes, for 22 minutes." And that helps the client decide the value. But it also makes you a very good salesperson, because it means that you will be advising the client as who is best for them, not persuading them to take on something they don't need or don't want. And then lastly, give excellent customer service, because if you have charged a price which is premium rates, and someone has to be more expensive than average. So I always say to my clients, why not you? And define at the beginning what excellent customer service looks like. So in my former industry in accountancy, it was quick accounts. So I know of a firm who used to do all their accounts. They used to book the client in for a slot and do the accounts within 30 days. Otherwise, it was free of charge. And so what they used to do is they used to do all the accounts within 30 days. But then for one lady, typically a lady, it's going to be a man, they would pick the person who they described as the most gobby in the town and deliberately do it in 31 days. And she or he would then go round the town saying, my accountant did my accounts in 31 days, but because he didn't hit his 30-day time limit, it's now free of charge. How cool is that? And lo and behold, they got 4 or 5 referrals. So if ever they needed referrals, they just did that. Didn't do any marketing, just people came to them. But it's all linked to excellent customer service. So that's just a few thoughts on how you can increase your prices. If you want more on this and to book a free session, then there's my free call link, Alan Kennedy at bit.ly, AK Call 45. I'll give you a free hour or 45 minutes. That's why it's AK Call 45. And you can then decide about how you grow your practice. Okay, that's Alan Kennedy of Time, Team and Money, helping you charge 7 times more than your competitors. Right, I'm now going to stop sharing, stop recording,